I'm Steve Scott, and this is an extended episode of Oklahoma and the Movies. How does the 1914 silent western The Squaw Man, starring Dustin Farnham and Winifred Kingston, connect to Oklahoma? Well, there are a few connections. One is a stretch. Another may or may not be true. But in a moment, after I reveal the connections, I will pass along a few interesting tidbits about this historically monumental film that you've probably never heard.
Join me, Carla Cantrell, every weekday from 10 until 3 on 1061 The Twister. And by the way, thank you for making us your new country station. Number one for new country, 1061 The Twister.
In The Squaw Man, our stretch connection gets credits for director, picturized by, producer, and character Pharaoh dealer. It all goes to the great Cecil B. DeMille, whose daughter Agnes was the choreographer for both the stage play and film adaptation of Oklahoma. Hey, I told you it was a stretch. The character Townsman is played by Art Accord, who was born in Stillwater. However, there is one source to claim Accord was born in Glenwood, Utah. Maybe, maybe not. I'll let that be your call. Getting credit for stuntman is Hoot Gibson, who worked on the Miller 101 Ranch at Fort Bliss. The Squaw Man, Hoot Gibson, probably Art Accord, and not so much Cecil B. DeMille, forever linking Oklahoma and the movies. Now, some, what I believe, are interesting tidbits on the cast, crew, and making of the 1914 Western The Squaw Man. This film is generally regarded as the first full-length movie to be filmed in Hollywood. The original location was scheduled for Flagstaff, Arizona, but there were too many mountains for director Cecil B. DeMille's liking. The Squaw Man is the first film made by DeMille and marks his big screen debut with a bit part. DeMille also hired an extra for $5 a day, and that extra was Hal Roach. The star of the film, Dustin Farnham, was offered in lieu of pay a 25% stake in the Jesse L. Lasky Feature Play Company, which had Samuel Goldwyn as a partner. Farnham declined and insisted on $5,000, payable at the rate of $250 per week. Well, to raise the money to cover expenses, Goldwyn went around the country and sold rights to the film to exhibitors. This was done before the film began shooting, making The Squaw Man the first movie to have pre-sold rights before production began. While Farnham did collect the $5,000, had he taken the 25% stake in Lasky's company, that company would go on to merge with Bosworth Pictures, the Palais Morosco Company, and Adolph Zukor's Famous Players to form Paramount Pictures, and Farnham would have become a multimillionaire. During the early years of the 1900s, Thomas Edison was the tyrannical king of the movie industry, and he did whatever he could to quash any competition, including destruction of property and physical violence. This was a big reason DeMille and others went west to film. But even in Hollywood, DeMille feared retribution from Edison, even though they were 3,000 miles apart, and that is why there are no credits on The Squaw Man. The Squaw Man was also the first full-length film to be remade. That would be in 1918. A remake with sound was shot in 1931, which made The Squaw Man the first film ever made 3 times by the same director. These facts and tidbits were culled from information on IMDb, Britannic.com, and Wikipedia. Thanks once again for listening to Oklahoma and the Movies.